The Navy's preeminent fighter had already served the fleet with distinction for over 20 years. But an unacceptable gap loomed between the A-6 Intruder's phase-out and its replacement, the F-18 Super Hornet. The Tomcat stepped up to the plate and fulfilled the Navy's heavy attack requisite.
If you look at the Tomcat, you know, it was in the fleet for 30 some odd years. So in the early 70s, you probably heard others talk about the fact that that airplane was built for fleet air defense against the Russian hordes coming over to attack the carrier. And it was designed around the weapon system, around the Phoenix missile system. So you had a long-range missile, you had a long-range radar, and really that was all the airplane was focused on. But once the Soviet threat went away, the aircraft kind of languished. It was a fighter role, but you look at all the conflicts that we had been involved with since the 80s, and there was really no adversary that would put up a fighter threat to you. It really didn't exist. So the Tomcat was kind of in an awkward place. We filled a fighter role, but we may not have filled a very as full a role in the air wing as we could have.
I'm the fighting wing commander, and I'm a brand new guy at the desk, and they talked to me about putting a lantern pod on the Tomcat. They tell me we're going to do this, and I said, absolutely, I'm all in. So I took 2 or 3 guys, a couple maintainers, perfect, technician kind of guys, and then I took 2 guys that were test pilots, a test pilot and a Rio, who were up-eval kind of guys from VX9.
Up to Point Mugu at VX9, lucked out. I ended up getting into what's called the lantern pod. What I ended up being the operational test director. Hear me talk about it today, it sounds like I built it in my garage, but really Snort and Rat Slade were the ones that had actually, had done the proof of concept.
The engineers from Martin Marietta, then Lockheed Martin, in the process turned into Lockheed Martin, they were amazing guys. There were like three of them. And between my 2 guys and those 3 guys, 5 guys, in 6 months we went from a concept to dropping an LGB.
Op away. Good radar track on the item on profile 3.2 to target, 2 miles to target. Good energy, 1 mile to target. And mark impact, sir. Laser safe, please.
And then, and a lot of things fell in our favor. One was we put a new PTID in the back cockpit, put a big new display, a 12 by 12 display, and the magnification of the lantern pod is directly proportional to the size of the display. The same display in a Strike Eagle with an 8 by 8 display was 8 power. We had 12 power. So the magnification and it had a lot of pixels in the new display, so the clarity was awesome.
And then we brought it up to us at Point Mugu to do the operational test. I didn't have to go through anybody. I could just call the engineer at Lockheed Martin and say, hey, it's not doing this, it needs to be doing this, and we got a great product.
So we won out with that. And then the second thing was GPS. Because we were an analog airplane, we had an INS, but we couldn't talk to the thing, and the pod needed to be a digital event. So we weren't a 1553 bus type airplane then. So, and we couldn't tie the radar. We didn't have a ground mapping radar, so we didn't have a radar that we could layer into the feed information to the lantern pod, so we can say, okay, point the pod over here. I said, can we put like a GPS unit in the thing? And he went, wow, that's a good idea. Literally in a week, they figured it out. They got a GPS unit that was off the shelf, that was going in Apache helicopters, embedded it in the lantern pod, which was awesome because it stabilized the lantern pod. You didn't have to have an INS and all that. We did that, and then we made it work, and it's amazing. I dropped the first live GBU on the bombing range and blew up a tank. And then the A6 was going away, and the Hornets just had the Nighthawk pod, and that was not very good. So this brought a brand new capability, and so we just won a couple things, happened to turn out and turned the airplane into a national asset at the end. And for a guy who was a fighter pilot, and I don't want to never drop a bomb, then I became the true believer, and I believe I truly helped bring this along. So so we got the project, then we had to pay for it. So I go up and I talk to PMA 242 up there, and I go up there, well, okay, what's it going to cost us? Like $1 billion. A lot of money to integrate this whole thing across the board. And I go, oh. Well, what do we have in the books? Well, we're on the process of spending almost that amount of money to put AMRAAM in the airplane. And I go, We don't need AMRAAM. I got Feeny bombs, I got Sparrows. I've been trying to shoot down somebody with a missile for my whole life, and it's not happening. I said, we need to go kill people on the ground. Let's take the $1 billion and put it over in the lander pod, forget AMRAAM. I go see all the 4 stars, and I give them the brief. And the last thing they say, that's awesome, Snort. How are we gonna pay for it? And I told them how to pay, we're gonna pay for it, and they went, cha-chang. And so every sync called Washington and said, make this happen now. And so we did this fleet prototyping thing as opposed to a normal acquisition process. So we went from a handshake on trying to make it happen at Fighter Wing, 2 days after I took over, to 1 year later deployed it with VF-103.
They had max takeoff gross weight was up to about 76,000 pounds off the carrier. You could carry 2 GBU-24s, precision-guided munitions, self-guided, self-lasing. That made the Tomcat the weapon of choice for the CAG, Carrier Air Group Commander.
And then toward the end of the Tomcat career, it transitioned into a very, very capable air-to-ground platform. And over that 32, 33-year career, it was probably the last 10 years that it became the most significant aircraft in the air wing.
And that was, in my opinion, the coolest thing I ever did. I go to bed at night going, oh, it's good. So that was a thrill to have that happen. And then it proved to be an awesome airplane. We turned into FAC-As, we turned into FAC-A machines, and guys in the squadrons we became the platform of choice. We became pathfinders for Hornet squadrons. We even had one Tomcat would go out with 3 Hornets or 4 Hornets and go, there's your target, and then they'd use a laser spot designator laser spot tracker to find that, and they go, that I got it, and then the Tomcat would pick its own. So amazing stories. The Tomcat really turned into a true national asset at the end of its life. So the bad part about it is it had the end of its life. I think if the Navy had been smart, we had followed on like the Air Force does with the F-15C, turning in the F-15E and making all that, and upgrading the airplane continually as opposed to just jumping on the Hornet trail completely, we would have a much more capable, or a very capable force, and I know that, and Grumman didn't help the process with their politics and stuff, but overall it was a great experience. So there you go.
Please like and share if you find the video content interesting. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and comment below so as not to miss new upcoming videos. And see the entire film now streaming. Or order the DVD online on our website, speedangelsproductions.com.